So do you have any recommendations on how to deal, we're just talking the ecosystem, dealing with a risk-averse culture you can present the facts to them, they can see that open source makes sense, it even has the ROI, it has all these pieces, parts, but it's different. And so getting the powers to be to kind of go that direction is difficult. Is there anything that you can recommend beyond what we've already talked about?
Sure. I mean, there are a lot of case points, case studies and examples of other industries that have been very successful in their adoption of open source. I think, when I have customers come talk to me, whether it's from Japan or other regions, they typically want to hear how other people have been successful in their transformation to open source. And so I think that speaks volumes much more so than anything is look at all these proof points. It's certainly up and down the 101 highway here in the valley of all these customers that have built out on open source. Look at any successful public cloud, what are they built on? They're built on open source. It's just really, I don't know how you can get to the future without open source.
Ah, there's your line. I don't know how you can get to the future without open source. Love it.
Yeah, and the other thing you might want to try is get them to buy in on a small test project. That's further outside, that's not so important, that's more internal, whatever, and prove that it works, that there are advantages, and prove that the investment is lower or the total cost of ownership is lower, which you can, I bet you.
That address your question? Oh, we need more. Maybe a side conversation during lunch. Or Ed, you have a...
What's that? Yeah, I'll just add. I think, and I don't think this is easy to pull off in an organization, especially if you're pushing an agenda kind of up to executives who may not, have conceived of it. But I think it's really critical, because I don't think there's one single answer to the obstacle. So I think you got to do a little bit of the work to understand, when you get pushback, get underneath it, like what's the real pushback? Sometimes it's, aversion to change, because change equals risk, and any risk is not, is not going to be good. Or, perception gaps about what technologies and companies might be capable of providing. But I think, because that is, our pattern when we look at this is just not one thing, and it would I think move the process forward, internally if you were able to really try to tease it apart. I think that's hard, by the way, because I think you got to challenge executives to say, let me understand, that five levels of why. I think if you could get the 5 levels of why to really get to the bottom line issues, I think that's the beginning point to break through. Because guys like us, we'll chase it with, hey, let's do a POC, because if we show you, of course you'll want this. I mean, that's and oftentimes I agree with Michael, like that is usually, once people kind of move forward, a great starting point. But then sometimes we find there are really other issues, right, that aren't so much about the tech, but other bigger things. So.